I thought, this is how I die. He's gonna kill me now.
That's me in the emergency room.
The exact method Amber Heard devastated Johnny Depp has been disclosed by Johnny's friends. We are still a long way from a resolution in the libel lawsuit between Johnny and Amber, even if we are aware that things may just be shifting in Johnny's favor. At the end of the day, Johnny Depp was ejected from the part that helped shape who he is today, while Amber Heard is getting ready for her upcoming Aquaman film. And all of this despite the fact that the majority of Amber's accusations have been refuted, with some of them even pointing back to her. After that, Richmond had a comment to make. Josh and Johnny have been close friends for a long time. Bear in mind that Johnny sued Amber for $50 million in the Virginia defamation lawsuit, where Josh's allegations were formally documented. Josh claims to have known Johnny for over 33 years and to have even been there for his wedding, which took place in the Bahamas in February 2015. He talked about the island and the fact that there weren't many people there. However, here is the intriguing part. Josh mentioned that none of Johnny's wedding guests expressed happiness that he was marrying Amber Heard, and he continued, "We discussed it openly." Josh continued by describing Johnny's friends' opinions of Amber at the time they had just started dating. Josh claims that Amber was perceived by his peers as someone who emotionally mistreated Johnny. By preventing him from seeing his true friends, she tormented him. In this instance, Josh's statements were emotionally hurtful. He said this, to be exact, Johnny's family, friends, and I always felt that he gave in to Amber's demands that he marry her. Additionally, Johnny always seemed to live in terror of how Amber would react if he ever tried to break up with her. Josh made his surprising discoveries on record for this and other similar reasons. Josh's claims and perspectives could be readily refuted by bringing in any witness. Thus, if anything could be inferred from his words, it was that he did not appear to be concerned about the consequences. Josh provided so much information in his remarks that even if he hadn't been telling the truth, people would have been forced to see the claims as a whole extremely differently. It wouldn't be inaccurate to claim that Richmond was instrumental in getting the public to hear the opposing viewpoint. Now let's examine Richmond. He stated that there are just a select few events that he remembers very precisely because they involved both his pals and ex-wife Amber Heard, in addition to his friend Johnny Depp. Josh claimed that Johnny was the one who first alerted him about the couple's recent altercation. Josh reported hearing that Amber entered the restroom and emerged holding a Kleenex with a blood stain on it. He allegedly gave Amber a bloody nose, according to Amber. Therefore, Amber Heard utilized this as a form of blackmail while they were ostensibly a happy couple. Richmond claimed that Amber had put red nail polish on a Kleenex after the incident, but Johnny was able to get hold of it and has had it ever since. In reality, it appears that Richmond had a lot more to say about Amber Heard's actions during their marriage. If Richmond had chosen to exaggerate, the fact that he really made all of these claims on record made it possible to hold him accountable for each and every one of them. He claimed that he and his friends were extremely concerned about the Kleenex and red lipstick events. He continued by describing Johnny as a kind, valiant, and considerate person who would treat every human being equally. Richmond, Johnny's old friend from 33 years ago, then went on to explain another occurrence that gave Amber and her companions a very sinister appearance. He declared publicly that Amber Heard's guests were all pampered kids who put on a wedding charade at great expense to Johnny. Josh claimed that it was common knowledge that Johnny had been intimidated and forced into complying with Amber's requests. One of these requirements was for Johnny to get married before he was permitted to travel overseas for his overseas picture. It's interesting to note that, according to Josh, practically all of the wedding guests on this island had heard about this violent occurrence. Here are the details of the incident that Joshua provided as part of the case files for Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. He claims that Rocky Pennington, another guest at the wedding, had been viciously assaulted by Amber Heard's pals before the ceremony. The disagreement is said to have begun following a discussion about who would serve as the wedding coordinator. Naturally, Amber Heard's legal counsel had to respond to this. No number of extraneous claims or self-serving leaks from Johnny's buddies, according to Amber Heard's attorney, could alter the facts of the case. He continued, Ms. Heard looks forward to winning her case in court. Amber Heard's attorney deemed such remarks unimportant. He continued by claiming that the claims abuse hoax, terror, fabricated evidence using nail polish and a self-serving leak. Josh felt certain that his comments would have little effect on the situation. He claimed that there was already plenty of visual proof in the form of music, photographs, and films. She also tells us that the case's fundamental facts won't change in light of these most recent revelations, which have been added to the expanding body of audio, video, photographic, and testimonial evidence. However, they are the fundamental details of this case. Taking everything into consideration, it appears that there wasn't much Amber Heard's legal team could have done to combat this. But it didn't take long to realize Josh had been quite sincere in his remarks. The opposition made very little to no effort to minimize the problems posed by Richmond. Josh could have had at least one of his lies exposed in court if there had been any form of fabrications made. It doesn't help that Amber Heard has endured nothing short of humiliating court events. Recent discoveries and data offered by Johnny Depp and his colleagues indicate a strong likelihood that Amber never gave the $7 million to charity. Amber had gotten $7 million as part of her settlement from her divorce from Johnny Depp. Amber Heard decided not to provide the court with the receipts she might use to show the donations were made. Despite repeated prodding from the judge spoke out right away when Amber declared that this was a private affair. He recalled Amber as the person who had approached the media about the contribution issue. The judge continued by stating that there wouldn't have been a problem if Amber hadn't made the connection to the claims made against Johnny. Amber Heard, however, always included a connection to Johnny Depp whenever she mentioned that she had donated money. The court determined that Johnny had a full right to know if Amber had genuinely contributed the money each time she brought up the domestic violence charges in front of the media. At this time, it is obvious that Amber never actually donated the $8 million she had stated she would do. Therefore, it would help establish that Amber has credibility concerns if Johnny is able to show that she was completely lying about this section. The situation for Amber Heard has recently gotten worse and worse as time goes on. A body cam video that reportedly depicts Johnny's home on the day he allegedly assaulted Amber Heard was shown to the court. The CCTV tape clearly demonstrates that Johnny was not present, let alone any abuse. If Amber was lying from the beginning, it doesn't seem too far off that she will be held accountable. This concludes this video. Thank you for watching. As always, thank you for watching. We wish you a wonderful day. Up until then, goodbye.